What's up, guys? So, I am here to give you my thoughts on not just the cup race, but the weekend in general at Daytona. Um, and before I do, I want to explain why I didn't drop a video immediately or I didn't do a live stream. First of all, um, I do not have plans to do weekly race reviews, right? I did it last year. I did the live stream every week on Monday following the Sunday races, right? I enjoyed it, but I don't want to paint myself into a corner where I feel like I'm obligated. Like, this is what I do. I do race reviews. Um, I don't feel like that's my uh, purpose, and I don't mind doing it, but I want to do it when I feel like doing it, right? There were times last year where I did it because I felt obligated. And I don't want to do things like that. I don't regret it, but I never planned to do like weekly reviews on races, right? It wasn't something that was planned. But once I started doing it, which I started with the Daytona 500 last year, I just felt like, okay, this is, let me do it this week. And then it got to a point where I was like, well, I might as well keep doing it. But I don't want to put myself in a spot where I'm like, okay, this is what I have to do now. But I will do it once in a while when I feel like doing it, right? So what's going to make me feel like doing it? It depends on how things happen. Like, what kind of race do we get? Is there anything to talk about that I want to talk about? I don't want to just cover a race and be like, okay, um, when I feel like there's something extra for me that I want to talk about or a point that I want to make, I'll do a video or I'll do a live stream. But I don't want it to be something where it's like, okay, I have to do it, right? Out of obligation. So I don't have that planned. I don't know when I'll cover a race, when I won't. It's just going to be as it comes, right? So I just wanted to explain to people why I didn't immediately come out, live stream, or do a race review or anything like that. Really didn't plan on it. But the races, there were controversy, right? The end of the race. Normally, that would be enough for me to say, yeah, I want to talk about this. But because it's Daytona, right? Daytona, Talladega, these pack races, you guys know how I feel about it. And all of these races in particular, right? Daytona, Talladega, these pack races, they always end in controversy. So for me, that alone was not reason enough to talk about it. Also, it's no secret, those of you who do watch my channel, if you've seen anything about me regarding these pack races, I hate these fucking races. I don't consider this real racing. I don't. And I don't want to be that guy every time we have a race at Daytona or Talladega. Oh, here we go. Disco Inferno's going to complain. I don't want to do that. I feel like I've already made my point. And I'm not here to twist people's arms. If you enjoyed this, and apparently a lot of people did, why would I want to piss on your parade, right? I don't want to rain on your parade. So that's why I wasn't going to do it. Because if people enjoy this, who cares that one guy, right, doesn't enjoy this type of racing? That doesn't consider this real racing, right? But I do think it's important that people understand where I'm coming from. Even if you disagree with me, you could still enjoy what you saw. Nothing I say is meant to make you change your mind, right? I don't like that. When people try to, like, you can debate things, you can have different opinions, but there is a point where you just got to accept, okay, this is how I feel, this is how you feel. There's no point in just keeping that going, right? Unless you have ulterior motives and you just want to generate controversy to get attention and blah blah blah. You guys know that's not why I do any of this. I don't monetize. I don't get anything from this, right? I'm genuinely a passionate fan of NASCAR and video games, right? So the controversial ending wasn't, I was actually just going to leave it alone. But the controversy is a little bit, there is something about it that makes me say, I do want to talk about this. I do have points to make. And I think that, again, it's not just NASCAR, it's the fan base. So before I get into that, for those of you who happen to be tuning in for the first time, I don't get a lot of new viewers, but just in case, I don't consider pack racing real racing. There are many reasons why. I feel like it's a manipulated form of racing, meaning it's not just up to the driver and the race teams to find success. You need other people. There are other factors involved out of your control that dictate your success or your failure. So you have, of course, aerodynamics at play, right? So pack racing in and of itself, the aerodynamics chains all of these cars together. They cannot break away from each other under normal circumstances. Yeah, if somebody gets out of the line, leaves a hole open, somebody takes the hole, somebody goes with him. That's how passing happens. That's how you get a conga line going that catches, the leaders and passes them, right? So I guess I could somehow understand why that might be exciting to people. It's just something about that particular type of racing turns me off. When you look at these races, whether they're 3.5 hours long, for the vast majority, 90% of the time, you're watching just these conga lines, right? And they're just clicking off laps. This idea that there's so much happening, even though you're watching guys passing and passing each other and all that, it's not real racing to me. So there's that. Then there is the endless wreck fests. Some races have more wrecks than others. Sometimes they actually go and have green flag pit. We actually saw some green flag pit stops yesterday. That for me is the highlight of the race. Like if I had to pick something, what did I enjoy the most from this? We got to see some green flag pit stops. That is always a welcome thing. When they have these green flag pit stops, so many things happen. Strategy, you get people pitting at the wrong time, or maybe and once they do start this cycle, it does break the field, and then you wonder how are they gonna meet the field again, right? Are they gonna make up ground? Are they gonna gain ground? Are they gonna lose ground? That's probably the most exciting part. That is not a race. A couple of green flag pit stops is not going to make up for a long, boring conga fest, right? The wrecks, I'm not one of these people who enjoys watching these guys wreck. I don't want to see that. I cannot enjoy that. It's dangerous, and it's a shit show. When you get multiple big, massive wrecks in these cars, they're all torn apart. 95% of the drivers that get caught up in it have nothing to do with the wreck. They just get caught up in it. And the guys that cause it, you can point your finger, you can blame them, you can say they're stupid, boneheaded, over aggressive, but I don't blame the drivers. This is what you get when you put these drivers in this situation. This is all on NASCAR. NASCAR created this product and did nothing to try to break that pack racing thing. If anything, they embraced pack racing to the point where they tried to create pack racing everywhere every week. So you guys know, if you just go back throughout the decade, the previous gen cars, all that stuff, right? NASCAR did, every decision NASCAR made was, how can we keep these cars bunched up together so that fans are excited because there's a possible wreck when these guys are going 3-4 wide into a corner at every track, every week. Well, we can add stages. We can throw multiple cautions that people are wondering, what was that caution for? To create multiple restarts. Restarts are the most exciting part of these races for a lot of people because they've been trained to enjoy that. So when they finally see a race, like we saw many races last year, old school, long green flag runs, green flag pit stops, attrition, tire wear, fuel management. There's so much to enjoy about traditional racing that, the fan base has been cultivated to a point where they see that and they complain. They say, oh, that's boring. Where's my caution? Where's my restart? I want to see these guys going 3 and 4 wide again as soon as possible. That's NASCAR. They created that. You look at the truck series. Believe it or not, those of you who are older, like myself, will remember a time when the truck series was many times producing the best races of the weekend. And now the truck series is a shit show, much like ARCA. You got a bunch of kids that drive over their heads, over aggressive, because the package is mostly wide open throttle. The truck package is what NASCAR was pushing everywhere for every series. If you just go back the last few years, right? Going back a decade or so. In my opinion, that has ruined what made NASCAR great. So this new car, we're still calling it a new car. It's the third year with the next gen car. I think is a step in the right direction. It's not perfect. A lot of people don't like a lot of things about it, and I can agree with that. But if you look at what I think is the bread and butter of NASCAR, is 1.5 mile racing. High speed, the racing has improved dramatically with this new car. So that is a good thing. So what are they working on? Improving short track road courses. Okay. But one thing that never changes is the speedway package. Now, I know there's people that say, well, the Xfinity is way better than this, but for me, it's all the same. It's a conga lines, it's carnage, wrecks, and you get these crazy finishes because that's what you get. When there's 1 or 2 laps to go, everybody's desperate. And when there's not a hole, you make a hole. You start ramming people even into the corners. So who's to blame for that? NASCAR. They created this product. So this is why my biggest gripe, honestly, is the fan base. Because they treat everything that happens with the fanboy lens, right? So the first thing they do is, who's involved? Was it my guy or was it a guy I hate? If it's a guy I root against, then he's the worst person in the world. He's a bonehead. Look at the stupid shit he's doing on the track. If it's a guy they root for, a guy they cheer for, a guy that they're a fan of, they defend them and they say, whoa, that wasn't his fault. That was this guy's fault. Fans cannot separate their fanaticism from reality. So I don't care who won, who lost, who got wrecked, who didn't get. For me, I view it through the lens of reality. I understand why it's happening. It's happening because NASCAR created this product that forces drivers to drive a certain way. It forces the racing to conclude in this fashion. How many times have we seen a race at Daytona or Talladega that ends clean, under green, no controversy? It has happened, but it's very rare. And even when they get that finish, it usually comes right after they had a restart earlier for a massive wreck. And if you don't get the wreck and it does end clean, what do fans say? Oh, that was kind of boring. A lot of fans are full of shit. They want to see carnage, and when they see it, it's like you can't please people. I'm not, again, this is NASCAR. This is the fan base. The last people I blame are the drivers. So the controversy happened. Who's really shocked about that? Nobody. But what is the controversy about? Well, it's an argument, right? So if you are a Byron fan, you're looking at it through one lens. If you are a fan of Alex Bowman, you're looking at it from another lens. If you're a fan of somebody else, like for me, for instance, Suarez ends up in a wreck. So more frustration for me, as it happens every year. But I understand. It is what it is. Who do you blame for that? You don't see me screaming at the top of my lungs about, poor Suarez got wrecked and it's so-and-so's fault. Why? Because I understand it's not anybody's fault. It's his NASCAR that created this. This is what they want. By the way, that leads me to my next point. These controversies, you better believe NASCAR. This is what they want. If you think that they're like, oh my God, all this controversy, we don't want this, we need to fix. No, they want this because it happens every year and they do nothing about it. We know the rules. Who doesn't know the fucking rules? Caution comes out, they go to the scoring loop. And then I'm seeing other rules and blah, blah. Then they never do a good job explaining it in live real time. Never. How many times have we seen NASCAR have to, long after the race is over, put out a statement, put out a picture, do this, explain. Oh, then they got, I remember that All-Star race where they let Blaney restart the race when his fucking window net was clearly not back adjusted right. They never threw a call. They just let it all. And then they have one of their spokesmen come out after the race and give you a long-winded bullshit explanation. And for me, it's that lack of consistency by NASCAR that creates a lot of these controversies. So I still view NASCAR, and maybe this is my fault, I still view NASCAR as a sport. And maybe that's not what it is anymore. Maybe it is just entertainment. There's always that, what is it? I'm still hoping to cling on to this as a sport. Sports do not need to be manipulated in order to be interesting. Sports in and of itself, the competition, right? The competitiveness of these athletes, these drivers, that is the entertainment. I don't need manipulation of that. Let the chips fall where they may. So pack racing is manipulated. It's, I'm sorry. You cannot do anything without someone else's help or someone else's failure, whatever. When you look at any other race that's a non-pack race, it's all about the teams, the drivers, the cars, the handling, And then, of course, there's always a level of luck involved, but there's nowhere where the luck is more involved than pack racing. You might as well pick a name out of a hat. It's not a coincidence, right, that we see the highest number of surprise winners. Where do we see that? Daytona and Talladega. It's rare that you see a real surprise winner anywhere outside of Daytona, Talladega. There's a reason for that. Because, and I'm not saying that it doesn't take skill, so don't twist my words. There is a level of skill involved. However, a lot of it is luck. A lot of it is being able to survive these wrecks and just be there at the end, and you might win it. So there's so many reasons why I do not enjoy pack racing, but we're going to look at these controversies, and I'm going to explain to you, my issues, right? My biggest issue is, okay. It's just the fan base. Just like consumers with these video games that never learn, they don't learn how to use the power of purchase to push things in a direction. And they just support whatever comes out. They'll complain, but they keep giving their money to these developers. Well, the same way the fan base, they'll complain, they'll argue back and forth, but they don't understand that NASCAR doesn't care. If they really cared about controversy, they would. You really think they can't rein this in? They love this controversy because in their eyes, this is good. Everyone's talking about the Daytona 500. Everyone's talking about the Xfinity. They look at that as a positive. I look at it as a negative because, to me, NASCAR is losing credibility as a legitimate sport. Every time you have to question the judging of these races, the cautions, the reasons this and that happened, and NASCAR gives you these flimsy inconsistencies with their explanations, that's by design. They want that air of controversy because they think this generates attention and it's good for NASCAR. But if you're trying to be the WWE, that's great. But then you are no longer a legitimate sport. And that's where I lose interest as a fan. If you really are a fan of racing, this is not good. Now, I get it. I see everybody telling me, oh, well, not me, but just putting out in public, this was a great race. They loved it. Oh, it's just, I didn't like this and this, but everything else was great. To each his own. More power to you. This is why I didn't want to make a video or a live stream about the race, because I was like, you know what? I hate it, but why should I ruin it for everyone else? Enjoy it. Right? This happens 4 times a year. Now, Atlanta, I'll talk about that in the future. But it is what it is. There's nothing that's going to change. The Daytona 500 is not going anywhere. Talladega is not going anywhere. So it is a part of the sport. It is what it is. I have to accept it, which is why I said I don't want to keep reiterating these points, right? But like I said, I really think I'm trying to open people's eyes to what's happening here. Okay, because I'm actually surprised to see so few people can see it for what it is. Like I said, everybody views it from the lens of who's involved. And you hear people, Hendrick, that's controversial, right? Because it's always Hendrick and this and that and blah, blah, blah. And you know what? Maybe there is a part of truth to that, right? But I see a bigger picture because it doesn't matter. If it was Gibbs, people would say the same thing. But People don't, they still don't understand. They don't get it. Now, I see a lot of people that went out of their way to point out what happened and telling you, explaining to you why everything's fine because these are the rules and this and that and blah, blah, blah. Now, first of all, Fox did a terrible job. And you know what? Maybe I shouldn't blame them too much because, again, I blame NASCAR. But they're like, what happened? We never really got a good explanation. They did go back and blah, blah, blah. NASCAR put out a photo. I'm not going to go around looking for it, but there's a picture of the moment where the cars are sliding through the infield and it shows Byron ahead of Bowman. So that's NASCAR's way of saying, you see, at the moment of caution, he was ahead, so there's nothing to see here. But I already saw people talking about this on social media, showing you when the caution actually came out. And you could clearly see Bowman ahead. So that's the controversy. NASCAR could actually clear it up by either admitting they screwed up or awarding the win to Bowman. That wouldn't be an unprecedented thing to do because the first Daytona 500, I correct me if I'm wrong, Lee Petty ended up winning the next day. Like they went back, they saw the photo finish, and they found out that the person who was originally awarded the win was not ahead of Petty at the line. And this was way back, so I think they ended up awarding Petty the win the next day. So it wouldn't be unprecedented for NASCAR to go back and say, okay, we screwed this up. The person that actually should be the winner is Bowman. I don't care. I have no dog in the fight. Again, I don't view these things through the lens of as a fan. I separate that. It could be Kyle Busch, and I would defend it, right? So we're going to take a quick look at this clip right here. So I want you to just pay attention, right?
Oh, closed in. He was going for it. All those...
There's the caution. The caution's here, and you could see Bowman's ahead. You could see he already... Hold on. Look. He already passed. And you could see at the rate of speed he was passing, he was past Byron.
He was going for it. All those guys. Oh, closed in. He was going for it. All those guys.
So it's controversial. Even if you want to argue with me, that didn't. It looked like Bowman won. You're not going to get an appeal to NASCAR, right? Because it's a Hendrick versus Hendrick car. Hendrick doesn't care, and Hendrick doesn't want to stir up controversy. He's got a trophy. They won. He doesn't care. So he's like, let me not stir the pot. I don't need to make a big thing out of this. I don't want to piss NASCAR off. Hendrick is, a lot of people already see Hendrick as somebody who curries a lot of favor with NASCAR, right? It's probably the biggest race team, them and Gibbs. So he's like, whatever. I don't care which driver gets the trophy. Let me just keep quiet and hopefully this goes away. But the fans are not letting it go. So this is controversial and it just doesn't seem right. And then I saw other people talking about how NASCAR had no choice. They had to throw the caution. And I agree. I'm all about safety. And once these wrecks happen, throw the caution. Once again, NASCAR shows you how inconsistent they are. So the same people telling you how NASCAR did the right thing, there's nothing to see here, they had to throw the caution. Now I'm going to show you the Xfinity race, which happened later on. And watching it, I'm thinking to myself, what the fuck? So watch.
Flag is out. One to go. Sponsored.
Here's the final lap.
Next flag will end the race. Austin Hill in front of his old teammate Sheldon Creed.
So as they're going
Hungry for a win.
into the backstretch,
Uh-oh.
There goes Ryan Sieg.
18, just watch 18.
That might do it.
Caution would end it.
No yellow. No yellow.
No yellow yet. Austin Hill out in front of Sheldon Creed.
Nobody's going to be able to get there yet. Here, 5 back 18, no yellow.
look at how long this continues.
On the final lap at Daytona. Sheldon Creed gonna do it again. The Georgia drivers got the hat trick at the World Center of Racing. Austin Hill gets it done.
That's crazy. He has won 3 of these in a row.
Austin Hill able to win.
Where's the concern for driver safety? Where is NASCAR's hard rules on all this? They just arbitrarily choose when to throw a caution, when not to throw a caution. This generates controversy. Do you blame the fans for being like, what the fuck? This is why I tell people, understand what is happening. NASCAR does not care about, consistency. They don't care about driver safety. Because we see this every fucking year. You see moments like this, and then you're, what happened? And then NASCAR comes out, and then you get people that come out and say, well, NASCAR did the right, they had to throw a caution. Well, where are the people that say that on this? So, controversy in NASCAR's eyes is a good thing. They don't care. All they care about is that everyone's talking about it. They don't care that it's damaging their reputation and credibility as a sport. That's what I have a problem with. That's why I'm making the video. The Daytona 500, the truck race was a shit show, by the way. Xfinity. I don't care how many people loved it. I hated it. I don't care. People talk about the passing and all this. Oh, exciting. How can I get excited about somebody passing for position in a race where you can literally come from dead last to the front in like a lap, 2 laps? You see it all the time. It's no, making a pass in a restrictor plate race is not a big deal. It's a lot of it is luck. A lot of it is helping, getting help from the right people, a hole opening up. A lot of it is out of the driver's hands. You don't know. If you're there at the end and you survive the wrecks, anybody can win. So, how can I get excited about pack racing when that's what you get? And then you end up with these controversial finishes. So you got a race that happened in the same day, and they just came off the controversy. They just came off the controversy of this a couple of hours earlier. And then they just let this thing continue. No caution.
Sheldon Creed's hungry for a win. Uh-oh.
There goes.
That's not a caution? That's not a caution.
That might do it.
Caution would end it.
It would end it,
No yellow.
but it didn't.
No yellow yet. Austin Hill out in front of Sheldon Creed.
Nobody's going to be able to get there yet. Here, 5 back 18, no yellow.
This is all on purpose. NASCAR likes this. They look at this as a positive. And I think that in the long run, it hurts the sport. It hurts the credibility. If you look at basketball, there's a lot of talk, especially in the past 2 years, of is the NBA rigged? A lot of people are starting to ask these questions. Why? Because certain teams get a lot of benefit from the referees. You see how, the Lakers get 3 times as many free throws as another team. And then you're like, I saw the game. Why wasn't that called a foul? Why is just standing next to LeBron James is a foul? And then you see the free throws adding up, and then people ask, well, the Lakers ended up beating the Warriors by points, and it's like they were losing by like fucking 20 at one point. Are we as fans not supposed to like use our brain and say this shit is fixed? And we're seeing more and more people come out and question the legitimacy of the NBA, the credibility. That's not a good thing. Now, NASCAR is desperate to try to get more and more people to watch. So, to them, it's a good trade-off because it's like everyone's talking about it. Everyone's talking about the controversy. Everyone is fighting over it. This is good, right? It's better than not having people not pay any attention. So they look at it as a positive. And I'm telling you, this is a Pandora's box. And this has been going on for some time. Every year, it's the same thing. Daytona, Talladega, at the end of these races, it's always the same fighting, arguing. Who's the bonehead who made a stupid move? Did this guy really win? Why didn't the caution come out? Or why did the caution come out? Or why did they wait to throw the caution when this guy got in front of this guy? It's the same fucking regurgitated arguments every year. NASCAR doesn't care. Because it generates interest. And it makes these races seem more interesting than they really are. Because at the end of the day, like I told you, I don't personally consider this real racing. It's just, who cares? Who cares that somebody made a pass for the lead in the middle of the race? The only races where these passes are meaningless is at Daytona, Talladega. They don't mean anything. The only thing that means something is the last lap. Where are you in the last lap? And how many people can you pass in that last lap? That's all that matters. Doesn't matter if you're running up front, middle, or the back. Everyone has an equal chance to win with 2 laps to go. What is that? Those are my thoughts. Please don't take this, as me trying to get you to not like pack racing. If you like it, God bless, more power to you. Enjoy it. I look at these races as I just don't care. I don't care. I do, in the back of my mind, hope that the drivers I root for survive and have a good finish just because of the points. Because these are points races. So I care to that extent. But I know what I'm watching. I'm waiting for the big wreck. And, okay, once again, Suarez got caught up in a big fucking wreck. Whether it's his fault or not doesn't even fucking matter at the end of the day. All these guys that are caught up in these wrecks, the guys that win and benefit from that. It's a big shit show. So, I had a few people hit me up privately and asked me if I was, they wanted, hey, you're going to talk about this? You're going to do a live stream? So I said, okay, you know what? There is something I wanted to address. And that's pretty much it. This fan base needs to wake up. This is garbage. This is a garbage product. These pack races, I'm talking about Daytona, Talladega, garbage. You might as well pick a name out of a hat. These wrecks, you're really telling me that this is good? This is I can't, I'm done. Those are my thoughts. I look forward to your comments later.